When people think of the word tarot, the first thing which usually comes to mind is divination, and rightfully so. I want to make it clear from the offset here that nothing in this video is meant to detract from that. Tarot is an invaluable tool for clarity, perspective, pattern recognition, can help you guide decision making. And there are a lot of gifted readers out there, such as Shay Pila and 144 from the Stars here on YouTube. Again, I do not want to detract from the divinatory use of tarot, but today we'll be exploring a tarot usage which is really sadly underrepresented often, and that is using tarot for magical purposes. Now, there is a wonderful book by Donald Tyson called Tarot Magic, Ceremonial Magic Using Golden Dawn Correspondences. In that book, Tyson presents a complete system of magic using the cards. In fact, it's so complete, it even covers how you can use the cards to form a portable altar and all the tools that you need to perform rituals. So that way you can basically, have a magical workshop in your pocket wherever you go. Um, that, like I said, it's a wonderful book. Highly recommend it. But there's a reason why it's an entire book. It's very detailed when you get into that level of using tarot as a system of magic. And, it's beyond the scope of a short video. Um, there's another way that you often see tarot used when it is used for magic, and that is where the practitioner will draw a single card and they will select that card purposefully so that it represents the intent or energies of the working that they're about to perform. Much the same way, some practitioners will use cards as talismans or amulets. There's nothing wrong with that method at all. It's very effective, just as Donald Tyson's system of magic using tarot is. But we're going to be doing something a little slightly different here. The ritual we're going to be doing is, well, it's kind of it's very adaptable, as you'll see as we get later on into it. But the best thing about it is that you don't have to subscribe to any one certain tradition. It's made so that it can be integrated into whatever, techniques you currently use in your own practice. Now, as usual, I'm going to assume that any preliminary work has already been completed, such as, like protective circles, banishings, blessings, prayers, or what have you. So you'll just want to insert this practice into the proper place in your usual method. Now, this will be a manifestation ritual which focuses our will, our imagination, and energy, excuse me, through the symbolic imagery of the tarot to support our desired manifestation. So, as I had referenced just a moment ago, that manifestation can be like whatever you desire. If you're looking for abundance, career advancement, to draw love into your life, this manifestation ritual can be, like used for any of those. It's not just a protection ritual, as you often see. It's not that level of specialized. It's very adaptable. Nice thing about this ritual is also very few materials are actually needed. You'll need a tarot deck, of course, but you can also substitute an oracle deck if that's more your thing. And the only other true requirement is a quiet space where you won't be interrupted to perform the work. Though you can use a candle if you would like, that is entirely optional. If you do use a candle, I would recommend corresponding the color of the candle to your intent, what you're trying to get from the ritual. Um, this ritual can also be utilized anytime the inspiration strikes you, but personally, I recommend fine-tuning it by aligning it with natural timing cycles. Examples of this would be during the waxing moon for growth and attraction. You could break it down to the days of the week, like if you are looking for abundance or legal matters, then that corresponds with Thursdays. Now, if you're really old school like me, you can even incorporate planetary hours into the work. All that's entirely up to practitioner preference. Now, I mentioned earlier that, like some tarot magic utilizes selecting a single card, consciously selecting it. This ritual utilizes something a little bit different. It uses an actual spread that I call the Flaming Sword spread. This is a 4-card diamond shape that is based on the Kabbalistic Tree of Life. Specifically, it's based on the path of the flaming sword, thus the name, but that's also sometimes referred to as the lightning flash of creation. Now, what this is it traces a path down the tree of light that shows the energetic sequence that the divine energy took when creating reality. And so this spread mirrors that to a degree. I'll get to the slight difference here in just one moment. So basically, we are utilizing in this the topmost section of the tree of life. We'll start with Keter, the crown. That is the initial divine spark which sets everything else in motion. We'll be using Chokmah, which is the flash of insight before creation actually occurs. Binah, which transforms that energy into a structurable form. Now, on the Tree of Life, there's typically 10 Sephiroth, but there is an 11th, what's called hidden Sephiroth of Da'at. In the standard Flaming Sword, the energetic current passes through Da'at, but doesn't necessarily stop there. In this spread, we will utilize the Da'at as the stopping point. The reason for this is that Da'at is the gateway connecting the divine mind of the upper portion of the tree to the lower realms, which actually shape reality, and it's the point where Chokmah and Binah coalesce into a unified whole, so it's perfect for this particular ritual. So how do you actually do it? Well, to begin, you will shuffle your cards while holding your intention clearly in your mind. Now, you don't want to focus on the absence of your desire. Instead, you want to keep your focus entirely upon the reality that you wish to create. As you're shuffling and holding that focus, you will take long, rhythmic, slow breaths, allowing your body to relax. Once you feel that you are in a relaxed and energetic state, at this point you would light your candle if you're using one. I don't know if my noise cancellation is going to pick it up or not, but there is a pretty little bird like just singing a beautiful song right outside the window. So if you can hear it, it's really nice. I hope you can. I hope it comes through on the video actually. Anyhow, once you've reached that point where you're feeling the energies, you'll hold the deck between your hands and you will say, I stand between possibility and manifestation. Through the wisdom and guidance of the divine, may these symbols reveal the path by which my intention takes form. May thoughts, emotions, actions, and spirit align with my greatest good. Once you've said that, you'll want to sit in silence for a moment and continue directing your energy into the cards in your hand. Um, Once you feel the time is appropriate and your energies have suffused through the deck, then you'll draw 4 cards at random and place them in a diamond pattern. Now we'll go back to the Path of the Flaming Sword. Card 1, up in the Keter position, I call the Seed. This reveals the core energy of the desire, and basically it answers the question, what is the true essence of what I seek to manifest? From there, the next card will be card 2, over in the Shakma position. Actually, Shakma, I suppose. Um, that position I call the Path, and it reveals what attitudes, emotions, or behaviors can be utilized to attract the outcome that you desire. So basically, it's telling you exactly what energy you should cultivate. From there, we go over and we put the card in directly opposite, and the Bina position, a card 3, the obstacle. This is what's blocking or otherwise slowing the manifestation, and the card in this position reveals what must be transformed, alchemized, released, or otherwise overcome. Finally, card 4 goes into the Da'at position, and this is the gateway. This card shows what the most effective action to take next is, basically telling you what practical steps you can take to open the way for your manifestation. Once your cards are laid out, study each one. Look at the colors, the symbols, the figures. Notice any emotional impressions they give you. You can certainly consult a guidebook, but if you do, try allowing your intuition to speak to you first and seeing what you get from there, and then you can combine that also with a guidebook if you so choose. Once you understand what each card in each position is telling you, you'll want to close your eyes and visualize the goal as something that is already accomplished. Incorporate as many physical senses into that visualization as you can, including, visualizing exactly how it has changed your life. The more clearly you can visualize the outcome, not as something that will be, but as something that is already part of your life, then the stronger your ritual will be. Um, After that, you will want to take your energy and you'll look at the card in card 1, the Seed, Keter, and you'll push your energy down into that card and you'll visualize it becoming just a radiant light, just bathed and suffused and just brilliant energy. From there, that light, we will have it flow down into card 2, where it strengthens the qualities needed that were identified by that card to help you manifest your goal. From there, it moves over into card 3 and Bina, where it dissolves and bursts through like any of the obstacles that are standing in your way, before finally flowing down into, but also through card 4 and into the physical. This is why the position is called the gateway. It takes it from the realm of the divine, or astral if you prefer, and helps it pass into the physical realms. You'll want to hold that visualization as clearly as you can, and continue breathing, and just do that until it feels right. Listen to your own inner voice. You'll know when it's time to move on. When it is time to move on, then you will say, as above, so below. As within, so without. As envisioned, so enacted. With divine blessings, may this intention unfold through wisdom, effort, and opportunity. After you've said that, you'll want to choose one action that can be completed within the next 24 hours that is small enough to easily accomplish, but at the same time meaningful enough to move your manifestation forward. Example of this is if you were doing a manifestation ritual for a better paying career, then that action you could take might be submitting a resume or application. Now, this step is actually important. It's a step I think a lot of people overlook because the ritual is not truly completed until action has been taken. There is a verse in biblical scripture. I believe I'm quoting it right. If not, it's a paraphrase. But it basically says that faith without works is dead. Um, that same concept applies to magic. Um, when I was about 18 or so, well, actually I was 18. It was right after I graduated high school. I moved from West Virginia, where I'd lived my entire life, to South Carolina. The only people I knew in South Carolina were family. I've mentioned in some of my other videos that I'm something of a hermit, which is probably an understatement. I'm better at it now than what I used to be, but I've never really been good at picking up on social cues or forming new friendships. Was even multiplied even further by the fact that when I was that young, I still had a lot of personal insecurities in my shadow side that I hadn't worked through yet. Um, Regardless, so I'm living in South Carolina, have my own place, have my job, but I'm really lonely. So I decided I'm going to do a ritual to manifest love into my life. Ritual went off great. I mean, I could feel the energies moving around. When I released the energies out into the wild, so to speak, I knew that it had been accomplished. The next evening, I decided to go to Blockbuster to rent some movies, which, that alone will tell you how long ago this was. Um, so I'm in Blockbuster, and I've got a few movies in my hand. And this next part, I know the magic was at work because it felt so scripted. It was like your stereotypical rom-com scene. I was coming around the corner of one of the aisles, and I was looking at the movies that I already selected and not really paying attention to where I went, and I bumped into someone. And both of our movies like fell to the floor. We both dropped, like apologizing, picking the movies up. I went to hand the movies to the other person that she had dropped. She went to hand them to me. We looked up, our eyes locked, and there was a meaningful connection in that moment, even with my social awkwardness and my like. It's challenging for me to pick up on social cues. Even with those things working against me, I could tell that she had the interest, and quite honestly, I had the interest too. She was very attractive. I felt a pull to her. Um, I gave her the movies, apologized, went and paid for my rentals, went home and watched my movies alone. The point of this story is that is at the point in my life when I realized that while magic will do a lot of the heavy lifting, you also have to be willing to meet it halfway. You have to be willing to do some work to help to achieve that goal. Thus why I mentioned the verse, faith without works is dead, and why the ritual is not truly completed until that simple action has been taken within that 24-hour period I referenced. Once you've decided the small step, we'll go back to the ritual now because completing it is done, of course, afterwards. But we'll close and seal the working by returning to the cards to the deck one by one. As you place them, you'll take the one that's card 1 in Keter, and you will place it back in the deck, and you'll say the seed is planted. Then you'll go to card 2, say the path is revealed. Card 3, the obstacles have been overcome. Card 4, the gateway is open. Now, at this point, if you're using a candle, you will want to extinguish it. A lot of people, like in esoteric circles, say you should never blow out a candle. I am not of that school of thought. Once I have completed a magical working, I tend to have some action which is sudden and abrupt to basically like send it, sever it from me and make sure it's sent out into the astral where it can live. So if I'm using a candle, then I do that by just quickly blowing on it to extinguishing it. Like, if I'm not using a candle, what I usually do is I just, there's a really loud vehicle going by. I know my noise cancellation normally takes care of that, but I'm going to start over just in case. This annoying living right next to a highway that's so constantly busy. But anyhow, if I'm not using a candle, then what I will do is just a quick, sharp, sudden clap. And, that's all it takes. Now, if you would like, over the next 7 days, you could draw one card each morning, asking how you can best support the manifestation that day, and then, of course, taking action on whatever guidance the card gives you there. So that's the base ritual. Now, there are a couple of variations you can use. One of them, I'll start with the more complex one. At the beginning, I mentioned that the path of the flaming sword normally passes through Da'at, and that is true. If you like, and if you are either have the knowledge or willing to do the research, you could expand this into a 10-card reading that uses the 10 Sephiroth or Sephiroth, I've heard it pronounced both ways, that the path of the flaming sword actually passes through in the traditional sense. If you do that, you would want to create positions based on the meanings of each of the Sephiroth, and make sure that the cards are being laid out in the zigzag pattern that the flaming path of the flaming sword takes. Again, like, if you have to do some research, you can. The information's out there, but that's beyond the scope of this video. Now, if you'd like a more simple working, this can even be completed, without the cards. I actually was doing a working last night, and I used this ritual without actually getting up and getting my cards, because I was in a very, very deep energetic state, and I didn't mean to, I didn't set out to do a working, but the energies were high, and it just kind of happened naturally, and I didn't want to break that to go get my cards. So what I did with that one is I would visualize again my goal, what I want to manifest as something that had, already taken place in my life. And I would see it start in Keter, and I'd see the energy go down into Chokmah, then over to Binah, then down to Da'at. And I would focus on exactly what that path was accomplishing as it traveled. And I went through probably about 4 or 5 iterations of that, and it is pretty effective too. I mean, you don't have the advice the card gives you that way, but it really is effective for building in the astral. Regardless of what variation you choose to use, you can tell that your working is taking effect when you have increased clarity about the next steps you should take. When you start noticing meaningful coincidences or experiencing unexpected opportunities, will feel more confident with less anxiety about the situation, and you may even notice repeated themes in subsequent tarot draws. Now, when these signs appear, continue taking your practical actions while simultaneously maintaining trust in the process, as manifestation ultimately forms from union of energy, vision, intention, and action. And that's it. That's the path of the flaming sword. If you found this video helpful, I'd really appreciate it if you'd give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. It helps more people discover this content and allows me to continue creating videos on tarot, Kabbalah, ceremonial magic, alchemy, spiritual practice, Western esoteric traditions, and all the things that we know and love on this channel. Now, if you have questions or thoughts about today's topic, I'd love to hear from you in the comments, especially if you use this ritual. Please, if you use the ritual, share your results with me. I really would like to hear your experiences. I have no real channel announcements this go around, so I just want to thank you for spending this time with me. Until next time, may your path be guided by wisdom, your practice be meaningful, and your journey lead you ever closer to the divine. And as always, walk in peace and light, my friends.